Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop. We're in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day for some of us. We get together and learn more about technology, share what we can with others, and ask a lot of questions. If you are going to have questions for our presenter, please make sure that you use the chat box, drop it down to where it says Judy Tallur, and send your questions to her. If you have any issues with your Zoom meeting or any APCUG questions, you can send those to me today. Bill James will not be monitoring anything because he's going to do the program. This is a benefit of membership to APCUG by member groups, and these workshops are only for members of those member groups. And if you have anybody that says, I'd like to attend one of those workshops, you just say, hey, I've got this application form right here. Join our group and you can watch as many of them as you want. It's great to see so many people here today. I think we're going to learn a lot today from Bill James about Windows 11. And so I don't think there's anything else to do but say, Bill, take it over.
Thank you, John. Good morning, all. And thank you for attending. I hope that you'll be able to learn something and ask lots of questions. I don't pretend to be an expert, but I have been working with Windows 11 for several months now. And so I'll give you all the tips and tricks. This will be a lecture as well as a hands-on. So we'll start with a discussion first, and then we'll move on into the demo. So I'm going to stop my, share my screen and here and stop. I don't know about you, but I was caught a little off guard when Windows 11 first appeared. It surprised me, and I think probably a lot of people. But let's look at some interesting facts about computers in general. First of all, I was really a very slow about embracing computers. I remember the very first one we got in our office, and I was sort of a reluctant participant. But as everyone knows now, that's not the case anymore. But there's always been a question about a need for a graphical interface. And for that, we need to go back to the end of World War II. In 1945, Vannevar Bush, who was the first director of the USA's Office of Scientific Research and Development during World War II, wrote an article published in The Atlantic entitled, As We May Think. And this article turns out to be one of the most critical works in the history of computing. And it describes a new machine which Bush at that time called MEMAC. And it was a machine with a keyboard and a set of buttons and levers, but otherwise it looked like an ordinary desk. Essentially what we now call the personal computer. And I encourage you to read this article. The link will be in my notes that we send out. But how did we get here? What were the things like before 1980, and how did the graphical user interfaces of computers get their start? Well, we have to look back to 1973, and that's when Xerox PARC unveiled Alta, a computer with a mouse, movable windows, a desktop with folders and icons, what you see, what you get, document layout, or what's called WYSIWYG, bitmap and vector graphics editing, object-oriented programming. The system had it all. It took many of the concepts that came before, from MEMAC to Sketchpad to online system to Plato 4, and refined it. It combined all those things together and added some innovations of their own. and polished it into a complete system ready to use. And so for the very first time, we had a graphical user interface that was more than a demo, more than a proof of concept. So about the end of 1970, I think you probably know the story about Steve Jobs took a tour of the Xerox park and left with a great many ideas. And within the next 5 or 6 years, multiple companies, including Apple, Macintosh, VisiCore, and Commodore, just to name a few, would release graphical user interfaces to run on their operating systems and personal computers. So the 1980s and 1990s were really an amazing time in computer history, with so many well-known stories of computer GUIs that have instantly become recognizable. The Macintosh, Windows, and so many others. And so much of it stems from 1945 and the MEMAC. So another website that I would like you also to visit is the London Journal of Technology, and I'll have a link for that. But my first encounter with a graphical interface was a simple $25 program at the time, and it was called Hard Disk 3, and it was a disk managing system that was used for DOS. It was a DOS shell program that lets you hide the confusing DOS operating systems with from all the coding and stuff, and allows you to select the program by just pointing the cursor to the menu item that you've chosen and pressing the return key or the number key associated with that menu item. Each selection could start a program, run a batch file, or execute any DOS commands. A selection could also have multiple steps, which may include any of these functions. The HDMI3 got me acquainted with Windows 3.1. This is my first journey into the Windows arena, which was actually installed on DOS as a program that I actually accessed through this HDMI3 menu. Of course, Microsoft had introduced, by this time I was using 3.1, but Microsoft had also had 3.0, which was a predecessor, but 3.1 was really, you might consider the first successful Windows operating GUI. And then came along Windows 3.11, which actually introduced us to the internet. And where I'm going here, I want you to understand that I have used every version of Windows since 3.1. And I didn't hesitate about upgrading to the next level. I remember Windows 95, when it was released, I stood in line to get my hands on a copy. I was, at that time, we had a big box store here that was called, I believe it was Cox USA. And I waited in line at midnight for that to be released. And of course, Windows 98 came along, Windows 2000 ME. If you remember, 2000 was the Pro version and ME was the home version. Windows XP was probably the longest lived version of Windows, of the Windows operating system. Then came along Windows 7, then 8, 8.1. Windows 10 was actually, you might want to call it a reboot and a fresh start. So now we have Windows 11. So what's the deal with Windows 11? Well, first of all, it's going to be presented to you through a Windows update. So you might really think of it as just a regular update rather than a complete revision of the Windows operating system. Now, you will probably be presented at some point with something like this. If your computer meets the minimum system requirements, you'll see this box, and it will tell you that specific timing will be offered, can vary when it gets ready. So some of you have been offered this, some have you not. And then after that notice, you may receive this. And it says you can upgrade to Windows 11. It's ready and it's free. And if you want to go ahead and install it, you're going to click on that blue box that says download and install. If you want to stay on Windows 10 for now, remember you can still get updates through 2024. You click on stay on Windows 10 for now. It looks like it's grayed out, but actually when you click on it, it will hide that box, and it won't nag you again until you click on you're ready to install it. And it'll be over on the right-hand side where it says looking for information on Windows. So what Windows 11 offers you is new architecture. Windows 11 is built for the UEFI, Secure Boot, and Trusted Platform Modules 2.0. UEFI stands for Unified Extendable Firmware Interface, and it's a public available specification that defines a software interface between an operating system and platform firmware. UEFI replaces the legacy BIOS, basic input output system, that was originally in the early IBM PCs and actually didn't probably go away until I want to say most PCs built within the last 5 to 6 years has this new BIOS, which is referred to as UEFI. And you will see it if you currently have a Windows 10 computer. And if you ever tried to get into the BIOS, you notice that it looks a little bit different than it did in previous versions. But to continue on with that, UEFI firmware implementations provide support for legacy BIOS services. So it's if your computer is doesn't take in all of these, the Trusted Platform Module or the Secure Boot, you still will probably have that interface. But in 2007, Intel, AMD, Microsoft, and PC manufacturers agreed on a new unified extendable firmware interface. This is, as I said, an industry-wide standard managed by the Unified Extended Firmware Interface Forum and isn't solely driven by Intel. UEFI support was first introduced to Windows with Windows Vista Service Pack 1 and Windows 7. The next item that is critical to Windows 11 is what we refer to as Secure Boot. And so, of course, the question is, why is that important? Well, Secure Boot is a UEFI firmware security feature developed by the UEFI consortium that ensures only immutable and signed software are loaded during the boot time. Secure Boot leverages digital signatures to validate the authenticity, source, and integrity of the code that's being loaded. These validation steps are taken to prevent malicious code from being loaded and prevent attacks such as installation of certain types of rootkits. And then the other one that we have heard in our conversation is, of course, the trusted platform module. And why is it important? Trusted platform, are referred to as TPM, is a specialized chip on a laptop or desktop computer that is designed to secure hardware with integrated cryptographic keys. A TPM helps prove a user's identity and authenticates their device. So those are the two important things, and those have been probably the biggest headaches for most users that want to upgrade to Windows 11. They find that their hardware at this time doesn't meet those specifications. Now, at some point, as we go along and go forward, is that some of those standards may be relaxed, but that's only speculation. It hasn't really been proven that that's actually occurring. So the other things that come along with Windows 11 is that it no longer supports 32-bit architecture or systems using BIOS firmware. Something to remember as why we have Windows 11 is that it offers Microsoft an opportunity to finally make a break from most of the legacy architecture that IBM Intel created in their original 16 32-bit x86 designs. So if you remember, the x86 architecture was designed in 1978 and was based on 8086 and 88 microprocessors. And it gradually grew from 16-bit instruction set to a 16-bit processors to 32-bit instruction sets. Owing to its capability of running almost any type of computer from PCs to supercomputers, various other microprocessors adopted that standard. One significant difference between 32 and 64-bit architecture is, and this is an important one, is how it handles RAM. If you are running Windows on a computer less than 10 years old, your chip is almost guaranteed to be a 64-bit. But you may have installed a 32-bit version of the operating system. But it's easy enough to check that, and to do so, you just need to go to settings, system, about, or type of about in the Windows 10 search box. And more likely you have an old system, an operating system you installed that only came with 32-bit, and subsequent upgrades, if any, may not jump your install to a 64-bit. If you remember back in the time when you had a choice between 32-bit and 64-bit of OS systems, Windows wouldn't allow you to, if you had a 32-bit version installed, it would not allow you to install the 64-bit. It's just, that's how I remember it. So you may fall in that category. But with Windows 11, it's definitely will be a 64-bit operating system. So, but even though it's a 64-bit operating system, your 32-bit software will work just fine. I have not had any issues with any of the programs that I've been running. And I've had a gradual update. As I said earlier, I've upgraded from every PC I've owned since 3.1 to the present Windows 11. And during those during those updates or over the times, there have been existing computers, newer computers, but they all have worked perfectly with the software that I own. So one of the things that you are going to see in our demo is that some of the major changes that Windows has made to the shell, including a redesigned start menu. The replacement of the live tiles you'll see will be icons, and you'll find that these a separate widgets panel on the taskbar. You'll have the ability to create tile sets of windows that can be minimized and restored from the taskbar as a group. Microsoft Teams has been integrated into the taskbar. There's new gaming technologies that was inherited from the Xbox. Internet Explorer, IE, which is still, some of the kernels of that is still in Edge, has been replaced with a new, what they call a Blink engine. And I don't have a really good definition for that. But all I can tell you is that Microsoft Edge has the Internet Explorer mode that's built in, so you can access your legacy Internet Explorer based websites and applications straight from Microsoft Edge. Now, this past, during this month, February 15th specifically, there was a huge update to Windows 11, at least what I considered a huge date. What happened in that update was we got access to Android apps on Windows 11. I don't want you to get too excited about that, because when you do, when I show you that, you'll notice it's just mostly games. But hopefully there will be other things to be included in that. That was one of the big things that Microsoft was touting about, the fact that they were going to be able to have Android apps running in Windows 11. And it's interesting is that how you get to those apps is that you have to install the Amazon App Store. And I'll show you that. There's been some taskbar improvements. Another critical change in the latest Windows 11 update is a significant taskbar improvement. So now Windows 11 will finally show the clock on the taskbar across multiple monitors instead of just showing it on a primary display. Additionally, we'll see the weather widget now return to the taskbar. I know I heard some people talking about that. It's not actually located in what I would say the optimal place. It's now to the left of the taskbar menus, which are now Windows 11, the signature view of it is in the center. So on the extreme left of that, we now have that weather widget. And I guess if you move it to, if you move the taskbar to the left in the old traditional position, you probably will not be able to utilize that particular weather widget. And you'll see that there are also some redesign in this update. There was a redesign to Notepad and Media Player. They had a multi-step, in Notepad, there's a multi-step undo feature, better search interface, colorful emojis, and it also offers support for the dark mode. And lastly, they are saying that Windows 11 updates will come faster. Microsoft intends to release updates quicker, more frequently after this update, instead of making you wait a year for new features. And I think if you don't know this, but the latest version of Windows 11 is 21H2, which actually is the same number on Windows 10. You'll see if you go to Windows 10, you'll see it is also 21H2. That was the first version of Windows 11, which was released in October. The first version of Windows 11 was released in October 2021, and it had the version number of 21H2, which signified the second half of the year. In other words, so 21 represents the year, H2 represents the quarter which it was released in, the second half of the year. So the next version of Windows 11 will probably be coded as 22H2. All right, so let's go to the live demo, and I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint here and bring up my desktop. One of the things that you notice about that's peculiarities with me, and it's just my personal choice, is that I like to use the dark mode. And you also notice that my desktop is free of any icons. For this presentation, I decided to use the rather, I think, pretty Windows signature wallpaper. So one of the things we want to discuss here is design. Microsoft's design language is called, which they refer to as MDL. It was previously known as Metro. It's a design language created by Microsoft, and it was the idea was to focus on typography and simplified icons, the absence of clutter, increased content of Chrome, of the Chrome ratio. And that term is kind of interesting. Chrome, it really refers to the user interface elements such as buttons, menus, and other widgets on the desktop. They refer to that as being Chrome. You'll notice that there are going to be new icons, for example, in File Manager. So if we go here and look at File Manager, you'll see very colorful icons. They have rounded corners, and they give a different visual than what we have been accustomed to. So that's one of the things about the new operating system. It's very pretty in a lot of respects. I'm gonna make this bigger so you can see. Very colorful. But probably the biggest thing about the new operating system is, of course, the taskbar. And as you notice, the taskbar is in the center. And you are able to change this behavior just by right-clicking on a blank space on the taskbar, and you'll get something that's referred to as taskbar settings. And you click here, and that takes you to the personalization taskbars. And here you'll see that you have a number of different options, but the one that we're really concerned about at the moment is going down at the bottom where it says taskbar behavior. And we're going to click on the drop-down arrow. And then we will see here that it gives us a couple options. One is that we can automatically hide the taskbar, which is what I use. That's the reason why when I bring my mouse down, it appears, and when I take it away, it disappears. Also, it allows me to show badges. And what that is, if you ever noticed right here, these little numbers, You see, like it says 88 plus. That is a badge, and that's saying that there are 98 of occurrences of some sort that has occurred on my phone. And I'm going to show you that app later on. But it shows your the unread message counter on your taskbar apps. So that's what that actually refers to. Now, the other one that we really, what we came here for, you notice taskbar alignment. As you look towards the right, you'll see it's designated as being center. I can click on the drop-down box here and click to the left, and now my taskbar is in the the taskbar menu is now in the more traditional place. But I still prefer it in the center. I've got used to it, and it doesn't seem to give me any particular headaches having it here. So also, when we are speaking of the, there are other ones here that we will come back and talk about, is that such as taskbar items, and you're wondering what those refer to. They actually refer to this group right here. So if I don't want the search magnifying glass to appear, I can go here and turn that off. And now it's no longer present. The same for task view. I can do the same thing and turn those off. So if you find yourself at some point not having those displayed, you might want to go to the taskbar settings, right click, click on taskbar settings, and then select the items that you want to turn on or off. Like in this case, I have the chat turned off intentionally. Some of these other items I do not use, so I don't have those turned on. One of the things that is really new now, at least I discovered new or changed, is the task view, or where you would use be able to use your virtual desktops. Now, I found that in this version of Windows, this has changed quite a bit. First of all, the desktop view of the is at the bottom of the screen rather at the top, like it was in Windows 10. Also, the other thing that is that you will not see now is activity history. I don't know if you recall, but when you would click on the task view, you would find your virtual desktops along the top, and then to the right, you would find a timeline, and it was activity history of all the places that you've been, whether it was all the things that you've done, actually, whether it was working with Word or visiting a web page or whatever you were doing, they would all be listed here in date order. That's missing now. Now, whether or not it's a good thing or bad thing, I have no comment on that, because I really did not use it. So it's nothing that I'm going to really miss. But the virtual desktops now work quite a bit differently. So say, for instance, if I wanted to, the primary reason for creating virtual desktops or workspaces is so that you can group your apps and tasks conveniently to stay organized, and you can create multiple work spaces. So say for instance, the PowerPoint that I just showed you, if I wanted to put that in another desktop, I could just do this, just right click on it and say move to new desktop. Or I could just simply just drag it down. Hopefully, let's see, it's gonna let me do it. Well, now I've created multiple desktops. I was trying to see, let me put that PowerPoint back up there, see if I can get that to work. See, I could drag this down to another desktop. And as a result, I would be able to toggle between these as need be. I could, if I wanted to go to any one of these, I just have to click on it and then it would be available for me to use. But you can, this is different from what it was in the previous, in Windows 10. And then if you, of course, you want to get out of it, you just go here and click on it and it will bring it down. But see, like I have, if I want to go here, I can just click and there I am at that particular desktop. And if I want to come back here to this one, I can do that. Widgets is, as I told you earlier, is on the far left. And as you can see, the weather icon is back. And here in Oklahoma City, it's saying that it is 11 degrees and it's snow. And here's all my widgets, and these can be customized however you want to use them. And you can go in and pick and choose which ones you want by clicking here about add widgets. You click that, you're going to get this dialog box, and then you can go through and choose the ones that you want to display. Other things on the taskbar is File Explorer, and we're going to talk about that in depth later. Browsers, you notice I have a Microsoft Edge here. I also have Google Chrome. You can have any browser that you want. In order to, if you want to make it a default browser, then you'll have to go in and click on the particular one that you're wanting to use. And then, of course, go to the, in case of this particular browser, go to settings, and then you'll see default browser. But now here's the trick. When you click on that, it's going to take you to this area. And in order to make it a default, you have to click in the file type. At least this is how I've learned to do it. And then you notice that in this case, Microsoft Edge is the one that's being designated. But I could click here and I could say switch anyway. And now I get this box and I can click on Google Chrome and do OK. And so that will change every, that particular extension to Chrome. It's a little difficult. That's not the way it has worked in the past, but Microsoft is kind of insisting that Edge is going to be the default browser for for the operating system. And as you are well aware, that Edge is actually built into the operating system, and it's not one that you can right click and uninstall. Let's go down here and see if there is another way we could possibly do this. See, there's not a, you don't find, there's Chrome. Let's see what, if I click on Chrome and set, okay, here's all the, you notice all of these right here, it says .html is set to Edge. So what I'd have to do for each one of these, I would have to go and set those for Chrome, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 different extensions I would have to go and change. So how I would do this is go here to the right and click here and then select Chrome and do OK. And I have to do it for each one of those to get those links to match up. Typically, though, I think if you just do HTML, that would take care of the majority of your web browsing if you wanted to use Chrome instead of Edge. As we go back along the bottom of our taskbar, we're going to see the snipping tool is still basically the same as it was in Windows 10. It's a way of being able to do screen captures or just actually making a rectangular or a Windows mode, a full screen, or free form. And it's just a matter of selecting that, selecting what you want, and then go to and click on New. And then you just would highlight the area that you wanted to capture, release, and then it comes up with this box. And then you have several options. You can save it, you can copy it, you can share it. Plus, there's some other tools that you can use to edit it. If you want to annotate, you have some a ballpoint pen, you have a highlighter, and then this is how you would correct any markings you made on the it. And then you also have a ruler, which you can use to actually square up any particular area that you would want to use. There's also a protractor that you can use where you can use it to cut out a circle, for instance, like so. So there's all kinds of things you can do with the snipping tool, as well as crop. You can crop things to make them different sizes or whatever. And then when you're finished, you just want to click on the the check mark, and that applies the change. Now, one of the things that let's see, the next one, this is the Microsoft Store, which is where you can find all sorts of applications that you want to add to Windows. Of course, the one I mentioned earlier is the Amazon App Store, and this allows you to be able to get Android or mobile apps onto Windows. And if you click here in more details, you can see kind of the catalog. And as I said earlier, there's not a great deal of things that you may be interested in. The majority of these seem to be games. But I do have a, I'll show you what I have done with this. If I go to my start menu here and click on the Amazon App Store, which is I have as an icon. You have to download this. It will show up in your start menu. And the only one that I actually have downloaded from this is, I thought I did. But when you click on here, it will then bring up this subsystem for Android. It takes a little while for it to get started. Then it will present you with the catalog that you can then click on to get whatever you want to install. So there's Wall Street Journal, there's Kindle for Android, and then again, just a bunch of games actually. Hopefully we will see more things that are more suitable. One of the things that you would want, you're asking probably, why would I want to have Android apps on my PC? Well, if you have any home automation devices, probably those were installed using a mobile device, such as your iPhone or your Android phone. Typically, those applications that are on your mobile device are not available to the PC. So that would require you to always use your phone. Now, my workaround is that I have what's referred to as Your Phone, which is an app that is available in Windows 10. So when I click on this, it actually brings up my my phone, as you can see, and I have access to those apps that are on my phone that I use to install my home automation devices. So I can, in fact, control those from here. So say, for instance, I have a lot of things on my phone, but Google Home is one that is not available to your on your PC, but it's a critical device if you have any of the Google smart speakers or anything like that. Oh, here it is, Google Home. So Google Home is a critical piece to controlling your home devices, and so the only way you can do that is using your phone, where in this case I would be able to pull up those things on my PC. May take it a little while to connect, but let's try it again. Okay, that right there is out my front door, and that's because I'm looking at a Nest application. But if I go back here, this is all the home devices that I have. And so I can access these from my PC, where normally I would have to be having my phone in my pocket or on my person. So that's just an example of why you would want to have Android apps available to your PC. And so currently, Microsoft is hoping that they will eventually get those apps available to you. But currently, if you have your phone synced to your PC, you can get to those in that manner. So these are all the mobile apps that I have on my phone that I can access from my PC just by having using your phone. Of course, the other things I have here are things that we'll discuss in our next one is notification area. The notification area is here, and this is not much different from in Windows 10. There, I can turn off my, or at least get information on my Wi-Fi. That's my the Bluetooth for my phone, etc. Plus, you also will see you have access to the brightness for your display, as well as you can increase the volume of your speakers here. You also have another way of getting to settings by clicking the gear here. That's just one of the ways you can get to settings. One other change that has happened is that, by the way, this area in Windows 11 is called the taskbar corner. And of course, this is where your overflow icons would show. By clicking on the up arrow, you can get to the ones that would typically be strewn across the bottom. It compacts them into this little area. And you can get to those by just clicking here. Also, the area to hide your desktop is still there. If you move your cursor all the way to the right and click, it will hide your desktop just like it was in before. One of the things that also has happened is that Windows Terminal is now the default in place of command prompt. So to get to that, we just right click here, and you'll notice you'll see Windows Terminal, but you can change it back to command prompt. Also, as when I right click, you notice I still can get a really quick menu of all the different areas that are sometimes buried in settings. It's a quick way to get to, say, for instance, device manager, network connections, or disk management, or any of those just by right clicking. But the thing that I'm highlighting here is the fact that this used to be the command prompt, which is the C prompt. And if you want that, you just need to click on here, and it'll come up and says, do you want a lot of the changes, of course, and then it will then display itself in this manner. But if you want to go back to the old settings, you just say open settings here, and then you can change this to PowerShell on the command prompt. And now, as you save this, what you get is that when you go to back here, you should see, hopefully, maybe I didn't do that right. Yeah, now you have the command prompt. Even though it says Windows terminal. So now let's talk about the new start menu, because this is the one that has garnered a lot of attention. Of course, you still access it by clicking on the start button. And now you have what is referred to as the start menu. And it's divided in 4 sections. The very top part is the search, where you can search just about anything that's on your PC, on the web, etc., just by putting in the keyword. So if I just was to type in car here, for instance, then I'm going to get a best match. And it's based, of course, on the characters in this that you place here. So in this case, it says that character is the best match, which really is not the case, because that's not what I'm looking for. But if I scroll down, I might find that there's going to be OKC National Car Show, which is kind of what I was looking for. So that's there there was a Word document. And then these are some apps that kind of meet that criteria. And then if I want to search the web, car is here. So you have best match, you have apps, and you have settings, and then you have search the web, which kind of corresponds to apps, documents, webs, and more here. So when you do a search, just make sure that it's always going to give you the best match at the top, and then it's going to give you the other categories below that. The next area is the pin icons or pin apps. And this replaces the tiles that we used to have. And so I have my settings, File Explorer, Office, Mail, etc. As you recall, these would be tiles in the old in Windows 10, but now they are icons. And to the form like cell phones these days, you see there's 2 dots here. That means there's 2 pages of apps that I have. Now, to get to all my apps, I'm going to go to the right and click All Apps. When I do that, then I get the familiar list of all the applications I have stored on my PC. And of course, you can still click on a letter and say, for instance, I want to find the video editor. So I can click V, and under V, there's video editor, voice recorder, and then another application that I use called Visor. So you can do that very simply. And if you want to, say if you want to add one of those to your start menu, then you just right click here and you can go to pin to start. Works just like it did with the tiles. And then below that is more, which allows you to pin it to the taskbar. You can get the application settings directly from here, if there are any. And then you can rate, review, you can also share. And likewise, you can uninstall the app directly from this location. Now, it may, if it depends on what kind of app it is, if it's a desktop app, it's going to take you to the familiar uninstall, reinstall dialog box. But if it's a Windows app that is, a universal app rather, then it will uninstall directly from here. Going back to our start menu, and to do that, all I need to do is click the back button, and I'm back to where I started. And now I'm down where it says recommended. This seems to be a little confusing for me and a lot of others, is that really the recommended ones are actually more like recent ones, because these are things I've accessed within several, like 1 hour ago, 10-hour, whatever. Those have been ones I've had that I've used. And so they're showing, but they're under the heading recommended. Now, if they're not all showing here, I can go and click on more, and then I'll see all the other ones that I have accessed or used within a certain period of time. And just like in the old recent area that was in Windows 10, it tells you, it gives a date stamp. Again, to get back, I just go hit the back button up here, and I'm back to my start menu. When I go below to the fourth section on the left-hand side, this is my account. So I can click here, and it brings up where I can change my account settings, I can lock my PC, or I can sign out as a user. If you have folks that use multiple have multiple users on the machine, then you can sign out here and leave the machine on, and then they can sign in with their own credentials. And then when they leave, they can sign out from here. To the right, we have the power button. And then these are some shortcuts that I've placed here. This is documents, this is network, and this is people. And how I got those was I went to settings. And then I went to personalization, then to start. And here I have what is called folders. And I click folders. And then this gives me the option to add these icons down at the bottom. If you use those, or you have used them in the past. As you can see, I have documents turned on, which corresponds to this icon. I'll move that over so we can see it. I have still, let me get over here. Get this in a place where we can see, where you can see what I'm doing. But anyway, I have documents, which corresponds to which is this one, and then I have network, which corresponds to this one, and then my personal folder, which corresponds to this one. So these are just shortcuts that you can use if you want to, rather than having things all pinned at the bottom of your taskbar. There are other ways to get to those in a different area. So by clicking on this, this brings up all my documents. I want to bring up my network. If I want to bring up my personal folder, I can do it from there. So it's so you don't have to have everything scattered here, or as well as you don't have to have a lot of icons on your desktop. You just have to remember where you've placed your little icons. So the next area is settings, the new settings layout. And of course, it has a new icon. And when you click this, you're going to be presented with a new settings layout. Now, this is quite a bit different from the ones we had in the past. One thing is, in my opinion, is uncomplicated design, which makes everything easier to find, rather than having that large page well, a large menu of icons, as in Windows 10, you have this sidebar that has taken its place. So each one of these will expand to another to a subpage, and then within this subpage, you'll see the different categories, which will then expand to another subpage. So say, for instance, if I'm wanting to do something with my monitor, I can go here and click on display, and then I have all these different changes that I can make. Now, that's not to say that you can't right-click here on your desktop and go to personalize and come up with the same place. But anyway, each one of these, it gives you a lot more control over the different things within the different settings that you can make in your on your PC. So it bears a little bit of exploration on your part. Just see what all these represent and how they're used. You don't have to make any changes. You can just go in and just look, and then get familiar with it, and then you'll be able to get around pretty easily. So just remember this, the left-hand bar corresponds to that full page of icons that was in Windows 10. They're now to the listing on the left, which then accompanies these subpages. Now, one of the things that you'll notice that, say, for instance, I'm going to go to sound. You notice at the top, it starts giving me a path. So if I went down here and clicked on speaker, you notice that I now have another listing that says properties and so forth. So I can click, if I need to get back to system, I can click here and it takes me back. Or I could let's see. Or I could just go back over here and click system and it would take me back. But when you go to settings, system is going to be the very top level of the list. And then as you go through it, it's going to bring up the added categories. But if you're still wedded to the control panel, then that's still available. Not something I would recommend using, but if you just get so frustrated that you can't figure out what is there, you still can get to the control panel. And it still looks like it did in the past. You still have the option for large icons. You can go to the category view, or you can go to the small icons. So it's still available. I still find this personally a lot easier to navigate, but everybody has their personal choices. The next category that I want to talk to you about is, or I should say next app I want to talk to you about is the new File Explorer. Now they did a radical job on this, in my opinion, is that you notice the absence of the ribbon. Now it's been replaced with simple icons, and it works quite differently from what it did in the past. So say for instance, let's just go here to a file. Maybe I can just use this one. This is a recent file. So if I select this, you notice here I have some things that have lit up. One is copy and one is share. But also the other ones that are not showing is cut. And let me go down here so I can figure out. And rename, and this is this is cut, this is copy, this is paste, this is rename, this is share, and this is delete. And so those give you the things that you can do from this toolbar. But if you right click on one of these files, you get a different menu, a different view. As you notice here now, I have the same two options at the top, copy and share, but then I have, which no longer appear in this group. They're up here in at these as icons. But if I want to get more options, I have to scroll down and click here where it says more options. And then I get additional things I can do. I can do share, I can free up space, I can convert it to Adobe PDF, I can copy the path, send to, and so forth. So this is a little different from what it was. Well, it's a lot different really than what it was in previous, in Windows 10 and previous versions when they first start using the ribbon bar. Over here, I have the view, which I can change how the appearance of this particular page or folder rather. So right now I'm in my quick access. And so what's showing here is tiles. But if I wanted to make it medium icons, I could select that and would change that view. Now remember that when you do a view, it only pertains to the particular folder you're in. It doesn't, it's not a global change. It only changes the one that that you are, the folder that you're in. So just remember that. The three dots are the ellipses here. When I click that, that gives me access to options where I get the old style. Everything in Windows is not new. We still have the old style applet, but notice it has rounded corners and it does have new icons. So they did freshen this up a bit, but here I can make changes to how my folders are being used as far as the general view and then search, of course. And then if I want to have File Explorer open to this PC, this is where I would do it. And then I can change this so that now when I open File Explorer, it'll go to this PC rather than quick access, such as it did here. See, it's now in this PC. I usually use the quick access because I have a very long list of items, folders, as you can see. So I have pinned the ones that I want to be able to use near the top, so I don't have to scroll all the way down. So I always have mine set to open in quick access. So now when I open this, I'm in quick access. Now, none of this has really changed as far as a navigation of, because quick access toolbar is still in the same place. And all of the recent files, the lower part of the File Explorer has not changed. It's just the upper part where they've done away with the ribbon bar in place of a toolbar. And then, of course, when you right click on an item, you get a new menu, which is different from the one that you will see in Windows 10. And depends on, you know, where the position of the particular item is, whether this menu bar is at the bottom or at the top. So File Explorer really features a dramatically simplified toolbar, and what it's being advertised as it's gone is the complex compartmentalized ribbon interface that tabbed File, Edit, View options. And in its place, you'll find a series of simple icons that help you perform basic tasks such as create new folders, copy, paste, rename, delete, sort icons, or change view in the windows below. So there was really no big change here. Now, one of the things I use mine, you notice I had no icons on my desktop, but I can always go here and click, my desktop is under my quick access. I can click here and I can get to all those icons that's on my desktop. So that's how I typically go. If I save something to my desktop, I know to go to File Explorer, click here, and it'll be found in this array of icons and folders. Some of you may have noticed that when I hovered over a corner, the max button, you see a new group of icons. And this is called Snap Assist. We all know how to drag our windows over to the left or to the right and click on something, and then we get two panes snapping together. Well, now there's a new way of doing that. It's easy. You can take and do the same thing by just clicking on a pane that's displayed. So right now, this pane is looking at Zoom. If I want to move the Zoom pane over to here, I just click, And now it's on the left side, and then I can select what I want here on the right side just by merely clicking on my hovering rather, and then clicking. And if you notice, there's various sizes that you can choose. If you want to make this the larger screen, you click that and it becomes the larger one. If you want to put them in fourths, you can do so. So this is quite, it's a lot of fun too, but you have 6 different examples of where you can place your screens. So if you don't have a multiple, 2 monitors, it's always, this is a neat way to be able to have 2 different applications running in the same, on the same display. One of the things that I discovered, and to my surprise, it was in Windows 10 as well, was the video editor. I don't know how I missed this, but I purchased a new camera recently, and I was looking for a free, inexpensive, easy to use video editor. And of course, what immediately comes to mind is our, I guess, Windows 7 brought out what they referred to as Windows Essentials, and they had something called Movie Maker. Well, the video editor is Movie Maker reincarnate. And so you can do the exact same things that you did before. If I want to do a, let's just keep this and we can make an edit. This was taken, not sure what happened there. Taken some pictures that I took on a vacation and made it into a little film clip. And these are actually still pictures. But if I want to do a new video project, I could just go here and then give my video a name. And then I have all these, I have the storyboard here. I can do background music. I can do custom audio. I could do all kinds of things that I had no clue that this was even here. But anyway, the video editor is in your apps. If you go to all apps and go to click on a letter, click on V, and you'll find video editor. So that was a nice discovery. I don't know how I missed it. I had no clue that it wasn't, that it was in Windows 10. But if you're looking for your old Movie Maker, it's renamed Video Editor. So let's talk about again. We talked about the Android apps and how to get those. To get to the Amazon App Store, you need to go to the Microsoft Store, and of course they always preview all these things here at the top. But if it's not there, you can always search in the at the top. And then you'll see Amazon App Store. And when you click on that, it's going to come up with this guy. And of course, since I already have it installed, it's just going to have open. If it needs to be updated, it'll have update. But if it's not installed, it'll have install. And this is how the Microsoft Store works for any application that you might want to install or to add to your Windows machine. And you'd be surprised the number of things that you find, because there's the Adobe Acrobat Readers is an app that's there. HP Smart, you have an HP printer, I would strongly suggest that you try using this. It'll make your printer situation a lot easier, in my opinion. But say, for instance, if there's a copy of Photoshop Essentials or Photoshop Express, and I believe this is free. There's no charge for it. You see where it says get, so that means I would click that, and then I would that would install my computer. I'm going to show you one that I think has a charge to it, and where you can see the difference. See, it says free for the ones that you there are no charge for. But there's one right there, Adobe Photoshop Elements is $99. So if I click on that, you'll see it's right now it's on sale for $79, and there's a free trial. So you can install that. You can buy it from here, and the sale is good for 6 more hours at $79. And it tells you a little bit about, you know, the description, some reviews, how some other comments from users, and then there's additional information as to who was developed, etc. And then there also at the bottom will give you some alternatives. So the Microsoft Store is worth taking a look at. It may ask for your Microsoft account. I'm signed in with my Microsoft account, so I wasn't greeted by that nag. But if you've not signed in with your Microsoft account, then it might ask for it. So that's something to keep in mind. As you can see, I use dark mode, and I just prefer that. For me, it's easier on my eyes. But if you're not into that, I will show you what Windows looks like when it's not in dark mode. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Start. I'll go to Settings. I'll go to Personalization. And I'll go to Colors. And here I can choose my mode. And I'm going to do the drop down, and I'm going to do light. And now it's in light mode. And if you can see, if I close this out, you see my my toolbar now is in light mode. The reason why my background is still dark is because this particular background is in dark mode by itself. So if I wanted to change that, I can go here and right click, and I can go to personalize and get to this close to the same place. And you notice the theme, I'm using this one, rather the dark one, rather than the light. So that's the difference. If I was to choose this one, and now go here, and now have the light mode. But when I right click on my desktop, it's just another way to get to personalization and settings. So you can do it either here or just go and, as I did earlier. And while you're there, if you arrived in settings by right clicking and you got in personalization and you want to go someplace else, just click on where you want to go and you're there. So as I said, everything is not entirely new in Windows 11. As you noticed, when I let's see here, I guess I was in File Manager. When I was in File Manager and I did the three dots and brought up options, this is still familiar. I mean, it's still the same, in the same style as it was before. The only thing that's happened has been refreshed with the rounded corners. That's a trademark of Windows 11, and also the newer icons. But there are plenty of legacy dialog boxes lurking behind scenes. And this is a good example. If you click on the ellipses, so as I did in toolbar, it's nearly identical. This is nearly identical to the one you see in Windows 10. I will say that Windows 11 has a new default sound for events in Windows. I thought it sounded like a muted chime sound, but someone told me they thought it sounded differently. But if we go to sounds, and I'll just give you a sample, you'll find that the sounds that Windows 11 makes is quite different from the ones in previous versions. So we're going to go here again to settings, and we'll go here to sounds. And let's see if we can get some examples here. No, I can't find what I'm looking for. Oh, that's right here. Can I play this? Yeah. Well, I was hoping I was going to be able to play one of these, but oh, here we go. Yeah. All right. So if you listen to this, you'll see that it sounds quite a bit different. Um, it has a rather muted sound than what it was before. So those are the Windows default sounds has changed to this rather melodic sound. So what are your alternatives if you decide that your machine is not capable of running Windows 11? Well, what Windows 10 is still going to be supported until 2024. And as I said, someone else, if you're not really that interested in upgrading, then there's really no compelling reason actually to upgrade to Windows 11, since Windows 10 is going to be supported. The next one that you can do is buy a new computer, which may be not an option for everyone. But at some point, you know, things kind of get obsolete. I know a lot of people don't like change. I thought of analogy. I said, a lot of us would probably like to still have a very simple car and would love to have Henry Ford's Model T. But just think about trying to drive Henry Ford's Model T in this day and age. You would be a little taken back because one is that you would be lacking for parts because the technology has moved on. The roads are a lot better. You couldn't go the speed that you can in a modern car. So technology, the way it's designed, it moves forward. It's not something that that stays static. So upgrading is not a bad thing. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's one thing you can think about. Or you can, there's some alternatives that you, of course, there's Chromebooks and other things that you can go to. But remember, you have to learn that just as you would have to learn something in Windows. And why not just kind of build upon your skills that you already have? So with that, I'm ready to take some questions and some beating ups and whatever else you might want to offer. But I hope that I kind of just scraped the surface. This was just supposed to be an overview. And but we can get in, we have time, I think we can get in a little bit more detail. So
I have a few questions for you and one comment. As I would tell my tech students, the search box is your friend. And if you can't remember, you can't find what you're looking for in a new operating system, just put the word in the search box and it will take you right to it. And over time, you will learn where everything is. So, can we set up a new PC with Windows 11 without using a Microsoft account? If yes, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using a Microsoft account versus using a local account to set up a newly purchased PC loaded with Windows 11?
Well, my understanding is that you can set up a home version of Windows 11 without a Microsoft account. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's true. You cannot use the Pro version without a Microsoft account. Now, my experience with using a Microsoft account, I see Bud shaking his head, so maybe he might have another comment. But my experience with using a Microsoft account, and I've used one since I think they brought was Windows 7 or 8, I can't remember which one, is that it allows me to sync my devices or my applications over multiple devices. I use an iPad, which I use OneDrive. And of course, that in order to use OneDrive, you have to have a Microsoft account. So that means I can have the same information on my iPad. I have another PC, which I'm using here, which I had my notes on, which I had created on my iPad and numbers. It's actually a way to be able to sync your devices together. That's the one advantage that I see. I have not found any disadvantages to it. The other thing is that if you notice that I have everything saved to the cloud, I don't save anything to my hard drive. So in order for me to do that, I have to use OneDrive. And again, my Microsoft account comes into play. And over the years, which is, I think I've been using OneDrive since it first came out in various modes, and now I've gone to it completely. Never had one bit of problems with using it.
Is Windows Defender sufficient to have? I rather avoid any other virus software that themselves may be another loophole for virus attack.
My opinion, I think Windows Defender is excellent. I use it. I like it for the reason I never get any nags. I'm never bothered by it. It just sort of works in the background. If something happens, then it will notify me. But as far as that, as getting constant pop-ups, you know, to be it renewed or whatever, I'm not bothered by it. And it's rather robust. If you ever, we didn't talk about it here today, but if you go into it, you'll find it has a multitude of customization that you can do which I think satisfy anyone that had a issue with security or viruses or malware or whatever. It covers everything.
And it has recently been ranked as #1 via the AV-test comparisons from out of Europe. The chat box is closed as of my next few questions because we have people in line to talk. Can't we just use default for apps just below where you were searching? You put on your search hat there.
I'm not sure if I understood what they're.
Okay, we'll hold that thought there. Has Windows Explorer search function changed in 11? And are there additional ways to search with it?
No,
Above and beyond 10?
I didn't show that, but the search box in Windows Explorer is in the upper right corner, and you just put in the criteria that you want, and it works the same way as it did before.
Thank you. Is there a blue light option for the display?
There is a blue light option for the display, and it's over. Let me share my screen. I'll show you. It's called the night light. And I have mine set here to come on automatically, or you can do it automatically. and it just uses warmer colors to block out, to help block blue light.
How do you make the display theme a plain, solid color?
Well, there's two ways. You can go to personalization, and here on the colors, you have choices of
A beautiful
some-
purple,
pardon?
a beautiful
some-
purple.
Of some solid colors, or you can go over to accessibility and use the contrasting themes, and it has also some solid colors. But they're either going to be in system under display, and again,
Could you show us the way the other people look at the screen, i.e. not dark mode?
all right, so again, I go here to system, personalization, colors, and then you just turn this off to light.
Oh, thank you so much.
But see that for me, that just all I see is I have trouble seeing this.
Yeah,
But anyway, I'll do
that's
it.
okay. Feel free to turn it back.
No, I
And
can.
just as a clarification, October 10, 2025 is the EOL for 10. How do you feel you are better off for having 11 versus 10? What are the main benefits to you?
Oh, the main benefits for me is the opportunity to learn something new. And I'm always trying to challenge myself so that I don't get stuck. And I just like being able to learn something new. As I said, I've had every version of Windows since Windows 3.1. So it's nothing, I mean, I still have my Windows 10 computer, which I was using here today. And I have that primarily for the purpose of helping people with Windows 10, because there are some differences between the two. But I think it's just
that he likes to keep up to date with everything. And he thinks if it's out there, you should be using it.
thank you.
You're welcome. You were going to be harsh, but what the heck. I'm a mom, I can do that. And you know, I called the chat box closed, and you kids aren't paying attention to me because I have more messages in the chat box before I said that. Is there any change to the registry structure?
Is there what?
Any change to the registry structure?
I have no idea. I don't know. I never go to the registry, but I would think not. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't have an answer to that question.
Google is your friend though, or DuckDuckGo, whichever your persuasion is. Okay, we are on to closing my chat box here. And Peter, you're on. Will you unmute yourself?
You already asked one of my questions, so I'll ask another. On Windows 10, if you right-click on an empty spot of the taskbar, a menu opens up, and one of the options in Windows 10, it's on the top, is to add your own toolbars to the taskbar, which is a feature I use frequently. Is that still an option in Windows 11?
I'm looking right now, toolbars.
Again, go to your,
Yeah, you have
Yes.
address, link, desktop. Is that what you're referring to?
if you go to the way I get to it in 10 is right click on the taskbar in an empty spot. A menu will open way up on top. It says toolbars.
Yep, I
where
see
you
that.
can add your own custom toolbar.
Address,
Is that-
links, desktops. All right, so
And down at the bottom, it says new toolbar, which lets you create your own toolbar. Is that still doable in Windows 11?
the answer would be no.
Okay, thanks.
Just look, no, there's not an option for that, because when you right click here, you get taskbar settings. Let me share my screen again. You get taskbar settings and it takes you to this area. So the only thing you have is the search, task view, widgets, chat. And then over on the right side, you have the taskbar corner icons, which would be the pen, touch, virtual, and then the overflow, taskbar behaviors, and that's it.
Can you right click on your taskbar in an empty spot and just let me see for a second what you get?
That's what you get.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep, and that takes you there.
There's of course, an app for those people who don't like the fact that Windows 11 won't let you do that, where you can add additional taskbars, and it is called Link Bar. Edward from Huntsville, you're on.
I just have some comments. First comment is it's not a coincidence that the Intel 12th generation processor came out about the same time as Windows 11, because the big little cores need the Windows 11 to operate correct, more most efficiently. So people with the 12th generation Intel really need to put a Windows 11. And then second comment is, I started a big discussion on an online group just a week or two ago about the dark mode, and I was surprised that a lot of people say that the light mode hurts their eyes. Well, the problem is dark mode hurts my eyes, so that's so a lot of us really understand the other people's point of view. So the third comment is, on a virtual machine, as a challenge, I installed Windows 11 Professional without a Windows account. The way I did it is, it starts out, it forces you to have the internet connection when you start out installing Windows 11 Professional. So when it gets to the point where it says, if you don't either log into your Windows account or create one, well, at that point, I disconnected the internet, then hit the back arrow. It allowed me to create a local account and not even log in at all with the Windows account. So it's kind of a trick to get around that. Then after I got past that point, then I reconnected the internet so they could do the updates and everything. So somebody else might want to try that. So it does work. It didn't work for me though.
So
Oops.
I was just gonna say, Edward, when you get ready to do a update, does it let you update without having signed into your Microsoft account?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, the first machine, I never did create or log into a Windows account on that machine, and I got the updates fine.
That's interesting. I'm surprised. I know on a Mac you cannot
So
get.
like I said, when it got a point in the installation of Windows 11 where it asked you to log into Windows account or create one, I just well, in the first machine you could actually disconnect the internet. And that point, there's a back arrow on the upper left there. I clicked the back arrow and it said you create a local account. And I did that and proceeded with the installation of Windows 11. But of course, I said I did reconnect the internet because I needed to update Windows 11 with the internet connection. But it never bothered me after that about a Windows account.
And again, you can Google that. Over to Bud from PC Community.
Okay. Okay, Bill caught me shaking my head no there when he was talking about the needing the Windows account. I believe with Home, you do need the Windows account to set it up. With Pro, like Ed just said, when you get to the point where it asks you to sign into your Windows account, disconnect the internet, click the back button, click the forward button, do your thing, set up your local account and go for it. However, I just read in the last couple of days or so that Microsoft is going to change that policy so that you cannot do that on the Pro account. However, it's not 100% proven yet whether that's going to, be effective or not. As of yesterday, I know Susan Brady at askwoody.com is actually physically testing that out. And she discovered that the version of Windows that she downloaded isn't new enough yet to fully test it. So that's still pending. But right now, Microsoft is going to start demanding you have a Microsoft account to install Windows. And also somewhere along the line that you were talking about Windows Defender, and somebody also has mentioned that in the most recent antivirus tests, Windows Defender scored quite highly. As a matter of fact, it was one of the top 2 scores or something, as far as being the one to use.
It was 100% across the
Right.
board.
Right, yeah. So Windows Defender is good, and I've been using it on my Windows 10 machine now for, 2 or 3 years without paying for antivirus and that kind of stuff. But
No, I've been using it since I think Windows 7.
yeah,
I've never had a problem with it.
I started with 10, but I haven't had a problem with it either. Those are
Marcia,
just the comments I had.
Thank you,
Marcia
Bud.
from Green Valley.
Hi, I use the used to use the snipping tool a lot. And now when I went to Windows 11, it keeps telling me to use the print screen. But if I do that, I can take a free snip or a square or octangle, but I can't do any kind of editing at all. I just have to paste it into something else.
Isn't it Snip and Sketch is the new kid on the block?
Yeah, snip and sketch.
Yeah, Marcia, you want to look for Snip and Sketch, something that I don't particularly like because I love the Windows 10 snipping tool. And of course, I can still have that with 11 if I do some workarounds. But Snip and Sketch in your search
Okay, so
box.
I would have,
What are you use? I mean,
I
are
would
you using,
have to,
you don't have to, no, it's free.
It's free. Type Snip and Sketch in your search box.
I did, and it took me to a website. It's Microsoft to get it, and it's $14.99.
No,
No,
it should be in your accessories.
right.
Let me go. I'll share my screen again. Okay, Marcia,
Uh-huh,
go to the start menu
yes,
and then go here to all apps and then click
Yep.
on a letter and S and see the snipping tools right there.
Would you click on that, please?
oh boy, your thing is different than mine. First of all, I do not get the alphabet. When I go to the apps, I do not get the alphabet, but I can type in a search box up above where it says all apps. It's giving me a laundry list of what's available.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it should be. Okay, so you get the laundry list. And you go to all apps, you get to so just click on a
That's right.
letter, like the A, right there. Just click on an A.
Well, click on okay, there, I clicked on the S. And then I should see snip and whatever you called it
No,
there,
you
huh?
should- It just says snipping tool.
Not there. Under the S's, I've got Skype, smart microphone, stuff like that, Spybot.
Oh. So what version of Windows 11 do you have?
Okay, tell me how I find that.
How much
Go
did you
hit-
go?
Go here to, again, back to the settings,
Yeah,
then go up to system. And then
yes,
scroll all the way down. It says about. And it should come up with Windows specifications. Like in mine, it says Windows 11 Pro.
Windows 11 Home, version 21H2.
Okay.
And it's running on a Lenovo machine, if that makes any sort of difference.
Don't know if that would make a difference. You shouldn't have to pay for that. I'm surprised.
Well, I'm making do with it, but I did like the older snipping version better than I like this using the print screen, but at least
Yeah.
I'm making it work.
Yeah, well, the print screen is one of the options that you can use with the snipping tool, but you should have it. I mean, it should be there. Gosh, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
I put a link
One thing I would do
in the chat.
is go again, type snipping tool up here in that search box and see what it comes up with.
There's a link in the chat box for the snipping tool, as well as one for snip and sketch or sketch and snip.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
Judy, they have the name kind of confused because down in the taskbar it says snip and sketch, but when you click on it, it says snipping tool in the
Yeah, because the Windows 11 comment is that they went ahead and installed the old Windows 10 snipping tool. I thought they only did sketch and snip. They must, so there's links to both how-tos in the chat box. Hey, Lynn, I like your background.
Bob,
will-
you have,
I will play with it then. But I tried to download the snipping tool and it said it didn't really want me to do that. It kept telling me, no, just use print screen.
no,
Marcia,
Yeah.
if you want to, excuse me, like take a picture of what you're looking at right now, it's the Windows key plus print screen. And if your screen will blink, and you will find it in your screenshot folder under your pictures folder.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take any more time, but I have absolutely no idea where you're looking, what you're talking about.
Your Windows key on your keyboard, plus your print screen key on your keyboard.
Oh,
But anyway, if you will download,
Yes.
please, the chat box, then you'll have both the links I put in there and some more information about it moving. And in order to download the chat box, you just go to the chat box and the 3 dots to the right of the smiley face and click on those and save. And it will download as a .txt file.
okay, I'll try that.
And then when we're all finished here, you just go to your search box and do .txt and boom, it comes right up.
Okay.
Okay. Bob from APCUG, John's group in Ohio. Unmute yourself, kiddo.
I just have a comment to make. On the default right click, when you right click on the file or a folder, the default are the items controlled by Windows. When you have to use the more, it shows you the functions that are controlled by the apps or programs that you have installed. So it depends on what you want to do with that file or folder. For instance, if you have a compressed file and you want to use 7-zip to do whatever you want to do with that, then you'd have to use the more because it's not a Windows controlled function. It's a program that you have installed. So that's the difference. And that's why they have it separated by the default and the more.
Over to Kevin from Royal Highlands in Florida.
Hello, I just had a couple things. First of all, Bill, thank you so much for a lovely, lovely presentation. This has been really handy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just kind of a couple comments. One, I noticed that right-clicking when I do File Explorer and I see the recent items, I noticed recently that right-clicking on a recent item gives me different options than when right-clicking on a file or a folder when I'm actually in the normal part of Windows Explorer. If I go to my Documents folder, right-click on a file, I will see rename, I will see other options that will be active and available than if I click on a file or folder in the recents list. I just thought I'd throw that in.
That's a true statement. True statement.
My big question is that I got a computer, a used computer recently. We won't go into too many embarrassing details about how I got it, but I thought it had a Windows 8 processor on it. But it has I'm sorry, I thought it had a Core, an Intel Core 8th generation processor, which would make it eligible for a Windows 11 update. However, I found that it actually had a 7th generation processor, and I have heard that processors that are not on the Microsoft list of Microsoft
Approved.
approved, thank you, approved processors. But so I've been told that I may be able to do that, and I was hoping to do that, and I just wasn't sure if I just had to wave a certain magic wand to do it, or just do it in a certain way, or if there was something I had to turn on. I know all processors need to have the trusted platform management. I don't know if the i5 processors do or not. But if you or anybody else in the group has info on that, I'd like to get it.
Well, it doesn't really, it doesn't, it depends on the generation and not the model number, because you can have an i5 8 generation and they are 7th generation and they're not on the list. So I don't know what the workaround is. I've heard various people give explanations of how you can do that, but I don't know myself personally. Maybe somebody here, did Kenny leave? He's probably the one that would know.
Does anybody have an answer to the question?
Edward would be probably
Going on. Do we have any other questions?
What we'll do, Kevin, I will, that question will come to me and I will research it for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kevin, the only way it will come to him is if you type it in the chat box.
But you closed the chat box.
No, it's open.
Okay.
At least it worked with you. Thank you. That means I wanted to give you guys a turn to ask your questions personally, like John Kennedy is going to ask his question.
Thank
Not
you.
exactly the question, but a comment on this whole thing. I have a Windows 10 computer that does not have that TMP, whatever chip. So it says it will not upgrade. However, in the BIOS of this computer, I can turn on an equivalent. And then if I choose to upgrade to 11 on that one, I just turn on the software equivalent of that chip that I don't have and I'm not going to pay for.
Is it an AMD?
Oh, I'd have to look it up again. See.
That's the workaround.
Oh no,
no,
it's an Intel.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the workaround for many, that it's there, but it's just turned off. And all you need to do is, if your BIOS is happy doing that, you go in and you flip the switch, so to speak, and you're golden.
Yeah. Part of the problem was that some of those chips skyrocketed once Microsoft did that, that overnight the cost to replace that chip just went sky high.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Bud, you have a question or an answer?
kind of a comment on both. I'm muted. Let's see, Alt A to unmute.
You're not, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. A lot of this, my computer doesn't qualify for Windows 11. It can be handled with registry hacks if you want to get into the registry hacking routine. They're out in the public and they work. I have a couple of them that I used them on to use them in VirtualBox to install Windows 11. So they're out there. That's it.
Any other questions?
I'd probably just tell Kevin, go give it a try. If it ain't gonna work, it'll say, ain't gonna work.
I've been-
You can also have Windows do it for Microsoft do it for you automatically. I'm a Windows insider. I was waiting for my 21H2 on Windows 10 to be upgraded, and I wound up with Windows 11. I have a Generation 7 chip, so it doesn't qualify, and I don't have a TPM2 chip, so it doesn't qualify. But Windows automatically updated me to Windows 11 when I should have gotten Windows 10 21H2. This was back in September of last year.
Oh, 21.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of a mixed bag on how that's going to work, but
And I did no registry hacks. I did nothing at all except expect to get 21H2 on my Windows 10 computer as a Microsoft or a Windows insider. And it turned out to be Windows 11.
Go figure. Any other questions or comments?
did you, was this just to me when you said we have no idea who memers?
No.
No.
It was to me.
Okay. Somebody,
Right, we
okay.
didn't know who somebody was. Any
Okay.
other Windows 11 questions?
Yeah, this is Mike in Ohio.
Hi,
Another
Michael.
one of mine.
That doesn't know how to raise his hand. You need to,
Well,
you need to do
I-
some teaching of those Ohio groups, kiddo.
I actually sent a chat message through and I thought it would come up that way. Anyway, I was just wondering, several of my computers are not upgradable according to the information I've received so far. But I was wondering if you go to a new Windows 11 computer, how much trouble is there importing over the material from the older computer to the new one? And I assume that you'll have to reinstall a lot of the software. So I just wondering if there are any gotchas in that process.
You're saying you're going to go to a new computer?
Would go to a new Windows 11 computer since I can't upgrade the current ones.
Why not stay with Windows 10?
Yeah,
Fully supported till October 2025.
I will until I can't upgrade the Windows 10 machines.
But if you want to do it, I mean, you would do the same process. I don't know what kind of software you have, but in most cases, if it's working in Windows 10, it'll work in 11. So I don't think you'll have any too much concern other than the fact just getting it ported over from one machine to the other.
Okay.
And there's software, you've probably done that before, so you would use the same procedures that you did to upgrade to your previous machines.
Bill would tell you that the best thing to do is put all your software up in one cloud and then it'll be there when you switch.
Exactly. That's what I do.
Okay. Good point.
I never recommend that because people sort of get on me, but everything I own is in the cloud, and I just, it's so painless. I got 2 new computers, and since everything was in the cloud and I have a Microsoft account, all I did was just turn the machine on, went through the setup process. It says, you have a Microsoft account? I said, yes, put that in. Bingo, everything was there. I didn't have to do anything. It was just painless. I was up and running in 30 minutes.
And he
But
just
you know-
laughs hysterically in the amount of time it takes somebody who does not use.
I just go, oh my God, not in this lifetime. My life is too short.
Yep. Would you do me a favor, Mr. James?
Yes, ma'am.
Press your Windows key, the Alt key, and S, and let us know what happens.
And Windows 10,
11.
11, do what now?
Windows key plus Alt plus S.
Oh, his cloud just disappeared.
Nope, my share screen came up.
Okay, that was a thought for opening the snipping tool.
Oh, no.
Okay, so that,
Let's see if it works on a 10. Control, Alt, and Windows key.
Windows key, Alt, S. And no, that brings up what you said. That brings up the share screen.
Yeah, that doesn't work. I think I read that someplace. That doesn't work.
And
Okay,
it's possible it could work if Zoom wasn't running.
yeah.
Well, the shortcut really for the snipping tool
Is whatever. Oops, Kevin's bending over. He dropped something on the floor. There he goes. Go ahead, Kevin, you're on.
Yes. Bill, you had just mentioned some things about the going from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And I know you kind of answered this, but because some of us had problems going from previous versions of Windows to Windows 10, I would just love for you to reiterate on if I were to do an upgrade in place of Windows 10 to Windows 11, and I have Norton on there and I have Quicken on there, there was a big deal that we had to uninstall certain apps when we did the upgrade to Windows 10 and then reinstall them when we had Windows 10 on. And so I'm a little bit gun shy about saying, oh, no problem. If you got Norton, McAfee, and
okay,
it's going to be okay.
let me just say this, is that when you upgrade to a new operating system, Microsoft is going to take cautions, and they're going to uninstall any antivirus, any malware, or any of those things so that it won't be a failed installation. And so most likely you will have to reinstall those third-party antiviruses, malware, any of those utilities that they consider may interrupt the installation. So always just be aware of the fact that some of your third-party ones will, particularly if it has to do with malware and antivirus, you have to probably reinstall those.
I disabled Avast before
And that's
doing the update, not uninstalled, simply disabled. I then upgraded to Windows 11 and Avast when I again activated it, or after the reboot, which is when it automatically activated, it was still there.
And that would be another way. Yeah, I'll just disable those because Microsoft is going to do that. They're going to uninstall those because they are fearful that it's going to cause you to have a failed update or upgrade rather. But I'm thinking, you know, the way they are doing, the way they did Windows 11, it's coming down through the update channel. So it's more like, you know, installing another version of Windows, such as I think you're aware of the fact that when they had those quarterly updates or semi-annual, you know, the fall update and the winter, those were actually complete replacements of Windows. There was a complete replacement of the operating system. And in those cases, I don't think you had issues with with your, you
Well,
did?
not with antivirus, but I had a lot of clients who, and myself at the very early stages of Windows 10, where I was without my machine for days, literally. It did something, and then I had a blank screen literally for 4 days. And then one day it literally just magically reappeared. I've had people call me and say, Kevin, my screen's totally blank. I think I was getting an update at the time, but I don't know. And I just would have them let it run overnight. And sometimes just letting them run overnight, it would come back on its own. Sometimes we would let it run overnight and then force it to shut down with a power off, and then turn it on and everything would be hunky-dory. So,
Well, here's another thought. Depending on the speed of their internet, you know, there are situations when during the upgrade process that the screen goes black and it will stay there for hours before it finally gets everything downloaded.
it doesn't, yeah, go ahead.
So that is possibly part of the installation process. If perhaps, you know, they have slow internet connections or whatever.
So Bill, that raises a real hot button, push button for me in my world. Having a if it was a black screen and all they were doing was a download, they should really give the end user some idea of what the heck is going on.
Right. I will assure you they don't. And I know I did upgrade for someone's computer recently, and it was an older computer, it was slower, and it went to a black screen. And knowing that that happens, I just left it alone. And it finally finished upgrading. But yeah, you're fine. And then there's no indication that anything is going on.
And to me, that's insane to be doing an update. My understanding was, in general, the update was downloaded, and then after the update was downloaded, it was then installed. But the idea that they would install an update and then in the middle of it need to go back to the internet and download more stuff is, I mean, I'm sure they can come up with valid reasons or what they think are valid reasons for doing that. But to give the end user no idea of what's going on with their computer, that is just, you know, just run the list of it's insane, it's a bad customer service, it's inappropriate, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, to be actively doing something and giving.
But what I'm thinking is that they've shut off the video doing that, and there's no connectivity during that, whatever they're doing. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I never asked that question, but it all depends on the speed of the processor and your internet, and you'll get stuck in a place where you would get a totally black screen. And I know people panic, they turn the machines off, and then that causes another issue.
Oh, yeah.
But no, when you're doing the update process and that happens, just leave it alone.
That's been my finding also. And I just, you know, it does work a lot of times, and it's wonderful that works, but it's like it's no way to run an update, you know, it's no way to run a business that you say, here, we're going to do something magical. We're not going to let you know what's going on. We're just going to turn your screen black, and there's a power button still on there might be a power light still on your computer, and that's the only notification you get. So as I mentioned, that was a hot button for me. So I'm going to try to get off my soapbox now.
No, you're perfectly correct. But yes, that happened to me just recently. So I know what you're talking about. But I've heard that experience before, so I just leave it alone.
Right.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Microsoft has stated that it can take up to 8 hours to fully complete an update successfully. People must leave their computer up and on the internet overnight, at least for a few days around Patch Tuesday and the 2 yearly, quarterly, half year, whatever they're called, updates.
Which are going to start happening more frequently, as I pointed out.
Yeah, so
Judy, if you would please send me that link, I would like to look at that myself, if you could, please.
there is no link, but I bet John can send it to me. Then I'd appreciate it, or I will Google it. And
Well, I can do that too.
I have the definitive. It's not Alt, it's Win key, Shift, S will bring up the snipping tool, and it works. And you get the cross, and you can then snip something. Over to Mustafa from the Laguna Woods PC group in Southern California.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Bill, for presentation. It was very beneficial for me. My question is about the firewall and also on Windows 11. My understanding is that the firewall protects you from incoming danger, but I'm not sure for outgoing danger. Like if somebody put a key locker on your computer or other apps that I don't see it, but it can send information out. Is there any outgoing firewall in my?
I think originally years ago, Windows Defender didn't have it had the incoming, not the algo, but now it has both.
Oh, thank you very much. You answered my question.
John Kennedy, you're on.
Yeah, one of the questions about the upgrade too of non-Microsoft products is that Microsoft and any other operating system can't test every piece of software from every version to guarantee that it works. So their solution would be, if we haven't guaranteed and checked it, we're going to remove it so that it doesn't cause a problem. Because some people stay with 10-year-old software because they like it. People that are still running Office 2000, that's 20-year-old products. And so people, the developers don't always want it to be compatible with every single version of software. So if it's not Microsoft and it's not theirs, they can say, we don't have to include it. You can put it back on, but we won't guarantee that it's going to work.
They also give you a list of the programs that did not get installed.
Yes, it's in a little folder on your desktop.
Oh.
Yep.
And Windows always gets beat up. I own a Mac, and a fairly new one. And some of the issues that people gripe about with Windows, I find the same situations with Macs, and they think and people that own them think they're wonderful. So I just, I can argue that issue.
The biggest problem is that the people behind all of these operating systems are not everyday users like us. And things make sense to them. An 8-hour update with no black screen and anything on there. And I've had the same thing as everybody, but leave it alone and they'll come home wagging their tail behind them. And that's, I think the problem is, if everyday people were part of the development team, things would be a little bit different.
My exact question to Bill all the time is, don't they just ask regular people before they make some of the silly changes they do, or take things away that we all love to use? And then, it's like going to your favorite restaurant and asking for this wonderful meal, and they say, that's not on the menu anymore. And you ask why, and they say, we don't know. It was one of our most popular selections. I think that's the same way with Microsoft.
I thought about something that I might add to that. They have employees that are developers and creators, and those people are sitting in their little ivory towers and designing things, and they're getting a paycheck. And so when they come up with these wonderful ideas, they usually get put on the top burner, and anything else that is because going to conflict with that goes away.
And they're not users. They're not regular people.
No, they're not.
Okay, I have another comment, but thank you to John S. for sending me the link for the 8 hours. And he says there's also a Windows maintenance process that is scheduled to run at 2 a.m. daily. It has many tasks. Not leaving the computer on, even sleeping, it'll wake, will cause those tasks to try to run during the day when one wants to work. Lucky me, I leave my computer on for eons. Oh, hey, Mike, another comment. Microsoft does have a usability group that is supposed to have ordinary people doing testing. I volunteer, however you find that. Over to Tim from Chicago.
Offhand, when it comes to, shall we say, inclusion of new things, those people who are on the insider track of Microsoft and or on Apple use the beta test versions. Beta means that it's not complete. It may have lots of bugs. It may have little to nothing in the way of bugs. And these people who are in the inside track are supposed to provide feedback of all kinds. Windows 10 and Windows 11, if you go to the all apps, click on F button, and you'll see under F feedback.
Oh.
And this is where you have the option of putting in problem information as well as providing Microsoft feedback that may influence changes on what they provide and do. And I'm sure there's something very similar on the Mac.
Hey, Tim, that was worth the price of admission today. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. And we have a comment from Canada. People that write the software should be condemned to use it. Over to you, Bob. Unmute yourself, please.
One more thing to consider. There are many people that have computers that are ancient, that have very little RAM, that probably also have very slow internet access. When you go through a major update and you want it to still work, it's going to take 8 hours, sometimes even longer, depending on how inept that computer may be. It eventually will do the update if you only leave it alone.
The old adage, a watch pot never boils.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I would tell my students. If you haven't, ever cleaned your hard drive before, set up the process and leave the room. And just check every once in a while, because the first time is going to take you what you will consider an extremely long time.
Are you bored?
Very good. I have a question, Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Apparently, people can't can't click on the 3 dots and download. Is that only for the hosts and people, or can everybody do that?
I think everybody could do that.
Because the person that I asked, they said they couldn't.
Did they get a message that says that they can't when they hit
They
save
didn't
chat?
say that. Bob G, if you click on the 3 dots next to the smiley face, what happens?
Mine said save.
You're a host. I'm asking Bob G to unmute himself.
Oh,
It said to merge.
Okay, so it doesn't
Merge
work for
the
others
meeting
then.
window. Right. There is no download.
Thank you so much. So forget I said that, but I put all this stuff.
What you can do is highlight everything and then just do a copy.
Oh, I'm sending it to you, everybody, in the email.
Okay.
Thank you for being my tester.
Well, when it says merge,
Well, that's neither here nor there. Does anybody else have any Windows 11 questions or concerns? Seeing no hands. Oh, here's Carol.
hey, Carol.
All right, Carol.
I was going to say I didn't do that good a job, did I?
You did an excellent job, Bill. I've heard that if you install Windows 11 and it doesn't work for you,
somebody moved on me because they left the room, and so when I
can finish her sentence. I think she's going to say.
I can't too. You have 10 days.
10 days to go back.
10 days.
She just needs to unmute, because I tried to mute Bob and she moved up to his spot.
That's so Bob. Bob's not a heavy breather. He doesn't bother if he's unmuted.
Has anybody tried that or had any experience with it? What I did was I created a system image of Windows 10 before I upgraded. I guess I would recommend for sure
Oh, good.
doing a complete backup of all your personal data and any downloads that you might have that you don't have anyplace else, in case there's an app or something or a program that you need to reinstall. Since a lot of us aren't like Bill and keep our life in the cloud.
And the heavens.
Right.
You wish. Hey, good notes for me to add in the email. Okay. If you have people in your group or your tech world that you help and they can't afford, can't stand Windows 11, we have a group in Florida that is exploring a Linux distro for those that just are, not going to do it for whatever reason. And their program chair has, he's one of the trainers, has chosen a distro and has added all kinds of programs to it, apps to it that, you might normally want regular users. And they're going to test it and they're going to put it on their classroom computers for everybody to use. And he has let me know that if after they have finished putting everything together and done their troubleshooting and it's golden and good to go, he'll send me the information and I am free to send it out to anybody who wants it forwarded on. This is called Users Helping Users. So if you are interested in anything like that and you think, hey, this is cool, another group is going to do all of this for me, please send me an email and I'll put you on my list of folks who want to receive what you could normally put on a flash drive, so it will not be very large in any way, shape, or form. jtallure@apcug.org. PH wants to know how we add the background that you are now showing. Zoom, background, Windows 11. And one will come up that you can download and then click on the plus sign in your virtual background box and it will become yours, because you'll notice Mr. James has a different one. He used to use the one that John found, but he's gone his own way there with the dark mode background.
Because
Over
I'm
to
a star.
Yeah. Oh, Scott. Yo, Lord. Over to Edward.
So I say that I did upgraded from Windows 10 to 11 professional. And on day 10, I went back to, I know I was on the limit there. So went back to Windows 10. There are a few glitches in there with Windows 10 after going back, but it was mostly successful. But I did have a backup too, so I was covered. So.
Thank you. Kurt, you're going to walk us off here.
Well, hopefully a humorous comment. At TCPC, we used to use the tag users helping users. And upon reflection, that's got some connotations we don't want.
Thank you so much. Well, that's the motto. That's supposed to be do you know how many groups have that as a tagline? Okay, along with their name. Calling once, twice, and 3 times. Do you have any more questions, comments, concerns? No. John, take us away.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today on the last Wednesday of February. February is almost over, and it's still kind of bad weather thanks to Bill sending it to Ohio tomorrow. So those of us in the path, watch out. Bill's sending us bad stuff. We'll be back again next month with some more Wednesday workshops. I'm not quite sure about the second Wednesday. Third Wednesday will be a Linux, Learning Linux roundtable on software. And we have a very special unscheduled Saturday Safari in March for those people who attended last month that wanted to get some hands-on experience with photo editing. John Kay is going to be back again, and you're going to be downloading the software and you can be able to work with it. So some couple good things for sure coming up next month, and maybe some others. So thanks, Judy.
The software is $35.
And you can try it for 30 days for free.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it. Try it and see if you like it.
And
So,
as usual, if you give presentations to your groups, that means you're not afraid to get up in front of people or in front of a screen so everybody can see you in the Hollywood Squares view. Get in touch. We'd love to have what I call some new blood, giving presentations. If you are interested in having Bob G give his 2022 security presentation in October during Cybersecurity Awareness Month, please get in touch with me and I will be more than happy to send you the information and add you to his spreadsheet, and it is filling up. So don't be late. I don't want, how many presentations did you have to give one day? Was it 3 or 4? 4?
Yeah, 4 in one day.
Yeah,
And
I've given
I don't
3.
want to do any more
No.
than that.
Thank you. I've done 3 several times, but when he said, you know, you scheduled me for 4 days, I went, oh, God. Over to you, Kurt, or are you just hanging out?
No, I have a request and you just reminded me of it. I'm putting together a presentation I'm going to give at TCPC in March, and I need a sketch. Okay. I need somebody to draw a sketch for me. So if we've got anybody out there that's a graphic artist or something, it's not too complicated, I don't think. If you have the skills, I don't. So contact me.
I will put that information in the chat box stuff, okay?
That's fine. Thank you.
all right, then 249. That's a good one. So Bill, you did a good job. A lot of questions, a lot of discussion.
Yes,
Thank
I'd
you
like
so
to
much,
have
everyone.
breakfast.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really enjoyed doing that.
And as I said, the video will be out for you to review. And those of you who we can match up your email or username with your email, you'll get follow-up material in a short time.
And
Thanks, everybody.
I sent all of those people a chat, but a lot of people don't know to read something that pops up in front of them. And there were quite a few that won't be getting anything.
Yeah. We put it in the in the email that you received. It was in the waiting room that says we've got to know the right name to match you up. All right, see everybody in March. Have a good end. Hopefully March will come in like a lamb and go out like a lamb. Bye, everybody.
Or whatever.
Well, I don't
Bye.
want it to come in either way. Save your
Thank
chat,
you.
Judy.
I already did 3 times.